Welcome back, Reading Rebels. I'm Brianna, and if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. I'm glad you're back. I have been in my fantasy reading era recently, and I've been reading a lot of really good books. But with that comes a lot of really long books and a lot of book burnout. I just recently finished, like yesterday, Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco, which was a really good book, but too long. So I have turned the reins over to Bestie Sarah to dictate what I am to read, and she has picked 4 books off of my Storygraph TBR that she says I have to read. Okay. This is what she has picked for me. The first up, we have The Friendship Breakup by Annie Catherine. She read this a month or so ago because I had found it and then she got it from the library. The only rule is I'm to read this one last, so this one will come up last. She also chose Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood, and I think the sequel to this is coming out really soon, so good pick. She also picked A Harvest of Hearts. Still the edges on this book, and this is one I know she wants to read as well. And lastly, she picked Dial A for Aunties, which this one, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a mystery or a romance or a thromance. I don't know what you would call a mix of the two, but it sounds really fun. So these are the 3 she's picked, or the 4. Oh my gosh, these are the 4 she's picked. And so I have to choose. What am I going to read first? I think based on what I've been reading a lot lately, and I'm listening to a fantasy audiobook currently, so I think we're going to go with Dial A for Aunties. So stay tuned. One book down. I finished this last night. And this has very much Finley Donovan vibes in a way. This is about Madeline and her mom and her aunts, and they run a wedding business. And she has this idea in her head since she was very young that like she couldn't leave the family, that there's this curse that all the men leave, either they die or they leave, and like all of her cousins like proved that because they moved across the country and started their own lives, and she fell in love in college and he got a job in New York and she didn't follow him. She stayed in California and went into the family wedding business where she's a wedding photographer. Well, her mom gets the idea that she's going to set her up online and pretends to be her on a dating app, and it goes horribly wrong, and the story goes from there. Now, I enjoyed this book for the most part because it did have those Finley Donovan vibes. I thought it was cute, but it didn't hit for me. I don't like how it resolved. I know there's a few more books too, so it went on. But I don't like how it resolved. I don't like a lot of the plot points that were in it. I don't want to give... In this book, she goes on a date. Her mom set up a dating profile for her and pretended to be her, but the cultural differences, her mom didn't know that he was a total creep. And also that it was a catfish. And so on their way, like he's driving her home and she thinks she kills him. Which, okay, yes. And so that's where like the kind of the Finley Donovan crossover to me in my mind. It's like kooky and like, oh my God, what do we do? And all this stuff. So they spend the whole time running around, and I knew he wasn't dead. And when they put him in the cooler, like in like an actual cooler, and that's what did it. And you know, it was kooky, and they were running around, and what are they going to do with the body? And then at the end, well, toward the end, he like the body shows up like in the wedding party, and they're like, oh my gosh. And it turned out like he was in cahoots with like the bridesmaid, or like the maid of honor. It started to get really convoluted. But then also just what really, like, I could have let all of that go because it was really funny and it was cute. But what did it for me was that, like, when the body shows up, the love interest, what's his name? I don't even remember his name. That's so bad. Nathan, that's what I thought. Okay. The love interest, Nathan, because like there's this bumbling small town sheriff on the island who's like, I'm not gonna use any of that newfangled DNA. Like, what? And so she pretends to be a lawyer and goes in and is like, then manages to get some time alone with him. And she's like, I killed him. And he's like, oh, I know. And he's like, but why? And well, it was self-defense. And like, we're just supposed to buy that it wasn't like because he was a bad dude. We're just going to cover up this murder. And I get for the sake of this book and the plot that's, yes, that was going to happen. But I was just like in Finley, she didn't actually kill him. That wasn't her. She had to deal with all the nonsense after, but she didn't do it. She killed him with her aunts and her mom. And he was like, okay, I've loved you and you left me in college and now we can be together and I'm a billionaire. No. I can only suspend reality so much. And that was just a little too much for me. Yeah, that's why this was not a hit for me. I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. I gave this 2.5 stars. I've already listed it on my Pango. But yeah, it was okay. But if you liked Finlay Donovan, which I really do like Finlay Donovan, you might like this book. This might be for you. But that means I have to choose my next read. And again, this one is last, so I don't have a choice on that one. But that means I'm between A Harvest of Hearts and Rewitched. And A Harvest of Hearts sounds really fun. This is about, they use like people's, basically their essences, like parts of them to make spells. And Foss has part of her heart taken by like this newer inept sorcerer. And so she's like, I'm going to get that back. And it says, as Foss searches for a cure, she accidentally uncovers that there's much more to the heart taking and to the magic workers themselves than she could have ever imagined. So, but I did just finish Blood over Brighthaven, which, oh my God, that book, amazing. Not anything like I thought it would be, and just and this sounds familiar in a comedic way. So I don't know if that's, because I literally finished that yesterday as well. So I don't know. I think I'll wait on this one and I'll read Rewitched, which is about Belladonna Blackthorn. She's a witch, but she really hasn't used her powers. And so like when she turns, I think it's 30, 30, she has to like do a test to say, yes, I can keep my magic powers and all of this stuff. And I think this is the start of a series. And this is by Lucy Jane Wood. I believe she has her own YouTube channel. So I think we'll read this one next. So I am exactly 50% of the way into Rewitched. I have it on my Kindle as well, or my Nook, one of those apps. So let's see, chapter 16 is where I'm to. And at first, this book, I wasn't sure how I felt about it because it was slow to start. And I was like, am I gonna like this? But now she has gotten with her mentor, and I'll leave that vague until I get to the spoiler section that I talk about. Not at all what you would anticipate with the mentor, obviously, because how they put it out there, but really cute. His is really a very interesting take on witches. It's like it's a really cozy fantasy, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So I have a theory about this book. Her mentor, Artorias, he was like accused of killing his brother, and he admitted to it. And so then he got his power stripped, but they've like given him some of them back so that she can train under him, so that she might not fail the big test thing. But she just went through like the 6 areas that she'll be tested on, and the last one is 6th and finally the book revealed came necromancy, communication with the dead. So here's my theory, that when they get to this, they'll communicate with his brother. And either, I have 2 theories. 1, they'll find out he actually didn't do it. Or 2, there'll be like this big weepy apology, which will be lame. I've got a heart of ice here. So she's doing really well in her practice, and she summoned her mom, and someone is hijacking her magic. This book is going in places I did not anticipate, and I'm really liking it. But I'm also like, I got to keep reading. I need to know what happens. Oh my gosh, I'm going to try and finish it today. I'm on page 214 of 351, so it's absolutely doable. But I'm just like, who is sabotaging her? I have theories. This book turned out to be so good. I was not expecting that, but this one turned out to be really, really good. A lot of, well, I guess you could call it found family, but in the end, real family that was torn apart by dark magic, because I was completely right. It was Bronwyn and Morena, the stupid freaking Godwin sisters, but they were freaking related to like everyone. Didn't see that coming. And it was all just this big, huge conspiracy on Bronwyn's part to get more power. Because I guess Bronwyn was so powerful,
she had gotten her powers early, and she was the one who killed her brother. And I didn't see any of that coming. But my goodness, this book, so this is following Belladonna, so Belle Blackthorn, and she's lived her life relatively magic-free in the non-magic world, like running a bookstore and living with her best friend and not doing a whole lot with her magic. But when you turn 30, you have to like prove like this is where you officially get all of your powers fully and you deserve them in the Echo Witch trial. And it's determined, and personally, it was probably a setup from the beginning, that she wasn't going to get it, but Bronwyn had somehow finagled this, like, well, you have all of October to learn and pass these 6 areas or something, and you're going to work with this old witch who supposedly murdered his brother. Which we find out, of course, he didn't. It was Bronwyn. And they were siblings. And what? So yes. This one was so fun and so cute. And it's just this cozy little fantasy where at the end, it just had like the last couple chapters where it all comes to a head was very much action-packed, very much like a showdown. I really, really enjoyed that. So read this. This I highly recommend. So that means then I am to A Harvest of Hearts. This book is a hefty book. Okay, first, I know I've showed this off, but they're so freaking pretty. Is that partially why I bought this book? Yeah. But also, I'm in my fantasy era, and obviously, apparently, I'm in my cozy fantasy era because we've got Rewitched, we've got A Harvest of Hearts. I'm reading on audio In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune, which I'm going to be reading 2 cozy fantasies at once. Throne of the Fallen was not a cozy fantasy. It was just a spicy as F book. But, yes. So I'm in my fantasy era. So let's dive into this one, shall we?
So I am 25% into A Harvest of Hearts already. And it's interesting. I don't know much about the sorcerer yet. Something's going on in the kingdom. And so I'm assuming we're going to find out what. But she got away. She snuck away from her village in the middle of the night, so like her dad wouldn't know. And she found the sorcerer's house and like walked on in, and it's like, he's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, looked around because he's a pig, and she's like, I'm your housekeeper. And it's like, okay. What? But his house is like its own sentient being too. Like it opens up rooms and stuff for her, and like she wished it to be, so now the cat talks. So that's cool. But yeah, so I'm just over 100 pages in, and so we'll see where it goes from here. I think it's just starting to pick up, but it's good so far. I like it. The book has been a struggle for me. Like, again, it's starting out slow like Rewitched did, but also the chapters seem a bit long. So I had 1 Libro FM credit left.
and so I used it to get the audio of this. So I will be splitting my time reading and listening. So the audiobook of Harvest of Hearts, it's really helping me get into it, and now it's picking up. Like, she's like been captured and is at the palace with the king and like all of the other magical people, essentially Sylvester's siblings. So interesting. And then I started to, since I'm listening to like a million audiobooks at the same time, because I have that one now and the audiobook of, well, actually the ALC, because that comes out Tuesday. I'm going to author release party for that. Like, I'm going to get to see Maisie Eddings speak. I love going to those things. Like, I'm addicted to them now. But anyway, I tried to get into the friendship breakup, but I've been having like a really bad mental health week, like anxiety wise and physical health week, because I'm me and I couldn't do it. So Sarah gave me this one to read. Look at that. She's also reading this as well. She's like, well, then read this with me. So this still counts. She chose it. And so far, I'm like 15% in. I'm like to page 65. I am to chapter 6. Come on, snakes, let's rattle. I really like the chapter names of this. The first one, I knew this was the right book when I picked it up and opened it, because I cackled. Because chapter 1 is Kiss My Ass, Cowboy. And I'm sorry, we know me. We're always down for a good cowboy romance. So I've really liked this one. So I've been reading this for an hour and a half-ish. Not quite, so I'm not that far into it, but on and off. I've been distracted, but so making good progress. It is Sunday morning, and I have spent the weekend reading, and I am 50% of the way into Cash. Well, a little bit more. And I can't tell who's falling first. Technically, I think it's Cash, but they're both loving to hate, and it's thawing. But this is a lot more enjoyable than I thought it would be. Like, I was like, when I buy a cowboy romance, I'm never sure what to expect. I'm like, But this one has been really good. I've really enjoyed it. So I'm just about 75% in now. And woo, did it get spicy. Like, all that pent up. Spicy. So I have just over 100 pages left, and I'm going to try and finish this tonight. I binged yesterday season 1 of Stranger Things. I haven't watched it since it came out, so I was like, I'll rewatch it. But then today I read Murderbot and then binged the whole first season. So I've done enough watching of TV that... So let's talk spoilers, shall we? To wrap up this video, Harvest of Hearts. Cozy fantasy. I've read a few now, and I think it's really hit or miss with me. This one I liked, but I didn't love. Everybody, like, the description is like, it's like Howl's Moving Castle, which I've never seen, I've never read, which is a crime, I know. Don't get the pitchforks out. But with this, with Voss, so it's spoiler time.
in this, we've got Sylvester, so we find out like all of the magic makers, magic doers, whatever, I don't remember what they're called. They are created by the king, who basically did a hostile takeover of his kingdom and cut off that kingdom from the other kingdom and has been encroaching on that other kingdom. And magic doesn't need to be done by taking hearts. But of course, they don't know this. So Foss is trying like so hard to get her heart back when it turns out like her heart wasn't even snagged, like the spell went awry because she's like immune to magic. And she's like someone that keeps magic in balance, in check. And I thought it was interesting. It's cozy, but then it tries to have action, and it didn't find the balance between the two where it was boring when it could have been more impactful, more action, if that makes sense. But it is a book I would suggest, especially if you do like cozy fantasy. Why not? If cozy fantasy is your thing, this would definitely be up your alley. I think I'm still finding where I like cozy fantasy, and if I like cozy fantasy, it's been very hit or miss so far. So, and then I think we have my favorite of all the books Sarah picked for me. Are we surprised? I'm not. And like I was saying, spicy, but not overly so. It didn't overtake the story. It didn't like, suddenly that's all they were doing. This was a really good, I wasn't sure. This was really, really good. It's about, so we've got Molly, who is estranged from her father, and she's been living in Dallas with her mom, and her dad runs this ranch, owns this ranch, and it has oil on it and everything, and then he ups and unexpectedly passes away. Well, we also have the Rivers boys on the ranch, and Cash is like the eldest, and when their parents died, because they had the ranch next door, when their parents died, her father took them in, and they all work on the ranch. He was like a second father to Cash, and he had told Cash, oh, the ranch is going to be yours. Well, come the will reading, everything is Molly's, but there's a stipulation in the will that's that she has to live there for a year to get it all. And so, of course, grumpy McGrumperson here is like, oh, she's just going to sell it. She doesn't belong here. I need to drive her off. And then he gets to know her and realizes that she's not what he thought. But then she grows to love the ranch, and they grow to love each other. It's very, you know, of course, romance. But I really, really liked it. And it leaves it open for the other brother stories, because they're going to, let's see, we've got the second one, the deluxe edition, comes out this month on the 19th. We're in August when I'm filming this. And then October, Sawyer comes out, I believe. And then there's twins, and so that one comes out in December and I believe April. I didn't like this at all, that I know when the release dates for the other books are coming out. No. But I would say Sarah picked a good variety where I had some I didn't really like, moderately liked, and were winners. Some really, really big winners, and just some, yeah, it was cute and I liked it winners. Now let me know down below, have you read any of these? If so, Did you have a favorite among them? If so, what one was it? And if you like this video, like this video. It lets me know that you like these kind of videos, and I'll keep doing them. And if you like this kind of content, hit like, stick around. I'd love to have you. And on that note, I will see you later, guys. Bye!